The whiskey burned my throat, sharp as a blade, as I choked out a laugh that wasn't mine. Even Jake's got 10 times more than you. I slurred, the words spilling like spilled wine, red, reckless, and staining. My husband, Tom, froze mid-sip, his glass hovering like a guillotine. The dim light of our living room caught his eyes, wide and glinting with something I couldn't name. How do you know? He asked, voice low, a tremor of accusation threading through it. My stomach lurched. The joke, meant to sting his ego, had sliced something deeper. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of oak and betrayal. We'd been married 7 years, Tom and I. 7 years of late-night takeout, shared playlists, and promises whispered in the dark. But lately, the silences stretched longer than the laughter. His phone buzzed at odd hours, screen angled just out of my sight. He'd started wearing cologne again, the kind he hadn't touched since we dated. Small things, red flags I waved away like gnats. I told myself it was stress, his new promotion, the late nights at the office. But that question, how do you know? Hung like a noose, tightening with every heartbeat. I forced a smile, lips trembling. It was a joke, Tom. Relax. My voice sounded hollow, like it belonged to someone else. He didn't laugh. His jaw clenched, and he set his glass down with a deliberate clink, the sound sharp against the hum of the radiator. You've been spending a lot of time with Jake lately, he said, not looking at me. The words weren't a question. They were a blade, testing how deep they could cut. Jake. Tom's best friend since college. The one who crashed on our couch after his divorce. Who brought cheap beer and bad puns to our game nights. Jake, with his easy grin and eyes that lingered too long when he thought I wouldn't notice. I'd never crossed a line, but the accusation in Tom's voice made my skin crawl. Was he projecting? Deflecting? My mind spun, chasing threads of doubt I'd ignored for months. I've barely seen Jake, I said, my voice sharper than I meant. He's your friend. But even as I spoke, memories flickered. Jake's hand brushing mine when he passed me a coffee. The way he'd asked about my day when Tom barely did. Harmless, I'd thought. But Tom's eyes, dark and searching, made me question everything. The next morning, the house felt like a held breath. Tom left for work without a word, his coffee untouched on the counter. I stood in the kitchen, the linoleum cold under my bare feet, staring at his mug. A faint lipstick smudge marked the rim. Pink, not my shade. My heart thudded, a dull ache spreading through my chest. I told myself it was nothing. A coworker's mug. A mistake. But my hands shook as I opened his laptop, left carelessly on the dining table. The screen glowed to life, his email already open. I wasn't snooping, not really. Just checking. My eyes scanned the inbox, landing on a name, Claire. No last name, just Claire, like a secret whispered in the dark. The subject line read, "Miss you already." My breath caught, a jagged thing tearing at my throat. I clicked. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. Same time tomorrow? The words blurred as tears stung my eyes. Below, a reply from Tom. You're killing me. Yes. My knees buckled, and I gripped the table, the wood biting into my palms. The room spun, the hum of the fridge now a roar in my ears. I scrolled, each email a fresh wound. You make me feel alive again. She doesn't suspect a thing. I love you. Love. The word gutted me. I'd whispered it to him just last week, curled against his chest, believing we were still us. Now it was a lie, smeared in pink lipstick and late-night texts. I wanted to scream, to shatter his mug against the wall, to burn the house down and him with it. But I didn't. I sat frozen, as the truth sank in. My husband was a stranger. I don't know how long I sat there, the laptop's glow searing my eyes. The front door clicked open, and I flinched. Tom wasn't due home for hours. Footsteps, too light, too hesitant, echoed in the hall. Hello. Jake's voice, tentative, warm. I slammed the laptop shut, my pulse hammering. In here. I called, my voice cracking. Jake appeared in the doorway, his flannel shirt rumpled. Hair still damp from a shower. You okay, Sarah? He asked, brow furrowing. He always knew when something was wrong, like he could smell my pain. I wanted to hate him for it, for being here when Tom wasn't, for making me question my own loyalty. I'm fine, I lied, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. He didn't buy it. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cedarwood aftershave, and my traitor heart skipped. "You're not," he said softly. "What's he done now?" The question was a spark in a dry forest. I opened my mouth to deflect, but the truth poured out instead. "He's cheating," I whispered, the words tasting like ash. Jake's face hardened, but his eyes stayed soft, searching mine. "With who?" he asked, though something in his tone said he already knew. "Claire." I said, the name a knife in my chest. Jake's jaw tightened, and he looked away, fists clenching. "I saw her with him," he admitted, voice low. "Last week, at that bar downtown." I didn't want to believe it. His words were a punch, stealing my breath. He'd known. He'd known and said nothing. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded, my voice rising, sharp with betrayal. Jake's eyes met mine, raw and unguarded. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said. "I thought, maybe it was a one-time thing. I didn't know he'd." He stopped, swallowing hard. "I'm sorry, Sarah." Sorry. The word meant nothing now. I stood, pacing the kitchen, my bare feet slapping the cold floor. Anger burned through the heartbreak, hot and reckless. I wanted to hurt Tom, to make him feel this gut-wrenching pain. And Jake, who'd kept his secret, who'd watched me unravel, was here, offering apologies I didn't want. "What do we do?" I asked, my voice trembling with rage and something darker. Jake stepped closer, his hand hovering near mine, not quite touching. "Whatever you want," he said, his voice steady but laced with something dangerous. "You want revenge?" "I'm in." The word, revenge, hung between us, electric and forbidden. I pictured Tom's face, smug and unrepentant, and my resolve hardened. "I want him to hurt," I said, my voice a stranger's, cold and sharp. Jake nodded, a slow, deliberate motion, his eyes never leaving mine. Over the next week, we planned. Jake knew Tom's schedule, his habits, his weaknesses. We'd catch him with Claire, expose him in a way he couldn't deny. The thought thrilled and sickened me. A cocktail of guilt and fury. Each night, I lay awake, Tom's snores a mockery beside me, while I imagined confronting him, watching his lies crumble. The night came, a Friday, the air thick with impending rain. Jake drove us to the bar where Tom met her, the neon sign flickering like a bad omen. My heart pounded as we slipped inside, the smell of stale beer and perfume choking me. There, in a shadowed booth, was Tom, his hand on her thigh, her laugh cutting through the din. Claire. Blonde, radiant, everything I wasn't. I stepped forward, Jake's hand on my back, steadying me. "Tom," I said, my voice a blade. He turned, face paling, her lipstick smeared on his collar. "Sarah," he started, but I cut him off. "Don't." The word was final, a guillotine falling. Claire's eyes widened, but she said nothing, her silence damning. Jake stepped forward, his voice low and venomous. "You thought you could hide this?" He tossed a stack of printed emails onto the table, our evidence, gathered from Tom's laptop. Tom's face crumpled, guilt and fear warring in his eyes. "It's not what you think," he stammered, but the lie was weak, crumbling under the weight of truth. I leaned in, my voice a whisper, sharp enough to cut. "You broke us," I said. "But I'm not broken." I turned to leave, Jake at my side, his presence a quiet strength. As we stepped into the rain, the world felt cleaner, sharper. Tom's pleas faded behind us, drowned by the storm. But as we drove away, Jake's hand brushed mine, lingering just a moment too long. My heart stuttered, a new question forming in the wreckage of my trust. Had I traded one betrayal for another? The rain blurred the windshield, and I wondered if revenge had freed me, or bound me to something far more dangerous.